Welcome to week 7 of the Marea and Friends virtual concert series.
We are so thrilled to be here this evening with you and with cellist Kyle Price. Kyle and I crossed paths and became friends at the University of Wisconsin-Madison over the years of 2014 to 2018. And so to all the people from Wisconsin watching tonight, go Badgers. And the theme for tonight's episode is kind of about imagining new realities. And both Amelia and I are actually teaching a master class for my former bassoon professor, Mark Vallone, studio, and that is totally imagining a new reality. I always dreamt of coming back to teach a class, but I never thought that it would be in this virtual platform and let alone with a duo partner. So that's just, we're constantly trying to imagine new realities during this difficult time, and Kyle's going to talk a lot about that in the interview, and it's super inspiring. He's always been a dreamer and an innovative musician, and it's just really a treat to be able to reconnect during this time.
And we also, in this program, we're premiering a piece by Harry Castle, so stay tuned. It's a really cool piece that involves oboe and bassoon, and we both sing, and a lot of electronics and looping pedals that we put together with Harry this week, so stay tuned for that. To get started, I'm going to say a little bit about Kyle, our featured artist for this week. Kyle Price, cellist and member of the Cavani String Quartet, is nationally recognized for his multifaceted musical career, innovative leadership style, and his advocacy for collaborative programming in the arts and humanities. His profound love of chamber music began as part of a family of dynamic musicians at the Chamber Music Connection, where he had the opportunity to work with some of the most respected and acclaimed musicians of our time, including members of the Cleveland, Cavani, Emerson, Guarneri, St. Lawrence, and Brentano string quartets. He has performed at internationally renowned music festivals such as the Perlman Music Program, Banff School of the Arts, and has been featured as a guest artist on NPR's From the Top. Honors and prizes include the 2018 Schubert Club Competition, Grand Prize winner of the 2015 Yamaha Young Performing Artists Competition, and honorable mention recipient in the 2017 Gershwin International Music Competition. Kyle is a founding member of the Casa Quartet, Grand Prize winners of the 2017 Coltman Chamber Music Competition. In addition to his cello studies, Kyle has been composing from the age of 10 and has distinguished himself with an original voice, receiving commissions from the Johnston Fund for New Music, Chamber Music Connection, and performances by Calidor Quartet, Chamber Music Connection Orchestra, Carpe Diem String Quartet, Casa Quartet, UW-Madison Orchestra, National Summer Cello Institute, and Caroga Arts Ensemble. Kyle's energized and passionate chamber music experience was a catalyst for his vision to form an artist-led creative community and resulted in his creating the Caroga Lake Music Festival and Caroga Arts Collective in 2015. Kyle completed his master's and doctorate of music degree at the University of Wisconsin-Madison as full fellowship teaching assistant under renowned pedagogue cellist Uri Vardy. Kyle received his Bachelor of Music from the Cleveland Institute of Music under the tutelage of cellist and former Cavani Quartet member Mary Peckham. When he isn't practicing or writing grants, Kyle is an avid basketball player and enjoys celebrating teamwork in every form, be it sports or music.
We're also really grateful to be joined here tonight with the Casa String Quartet. We'll be featuring 2 works by them. And I have always been a fan of the Casa Quartet. I remember I've shown many of my friends the Someday My Prince Will Come video, and it's just, they are such a phenomenal group. You do not want to miss that tonight in this program.
And before we get started, just a little reminder that we have an optional virtual ticket for $5 if you feel so inclined. It really means a lot to us and the artists every week. And thank you so much for those of you who have purchased these optional virtual tickets. And we also have a survey link, so if you want to tell us what you like and what you don't like about the episodes every week, please fill that out. It's very short and your feedback is very much appreciated.
All right, sit back, relax, and enjoy week 7 of Marea and Friends. Here we are, week 7 with cellist Kyle Price. We're so excited to be here with you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and before we start this interview, I would like to say a couple words about Kyle. Kyle and I have known each other for about 7 years now. And we spent 4 years at the University of Wisconsin together, but we were in completely different chapters of our musical life. I was starting my undergrad and Kyle was starting his master's. And so I completed my degree, and then Kyle also did his master's and his doctorate. And yeah, I always looked up to Kyle throughout my 4 years. And it's been really a great opportunity right now to be able to reconnect, and it's been 3 years since we've been in the same school and walking in the same hallways, and me seeing Kyle on his phone calls for Kurogo or for or practicing. And so yeah, it's really great to be here with him, and he's such a wonderful musician. So yeah.
Well, I'm big fans as well. I mean, just seeing what you guys have been doing with this virtual concert series is so awesome. It's such a great way to engage people during this time. And so I commend you on that. And obviously, since you first introduced me to the project and the group that you have started together, I've definitely been a big fan. I think it's really unique to involve both the multiple genres and the different singing platforms and be able to showcase your friends. I feel very lucky to be here. So thank you.
Yeah, so the first question we have for you is if you could just talk a little bit about how you chose the cello way back in the day and just kind of take us on a short little musical journey, or your musical journey throughout your life.
Totally. Yeah, so I come from a family. My mom and my sister are musical. My dad is an environmental engineering consultant, and he often plays that dad joke and says, like, he plays the radio. So, like, the vibe of my family right from the get-go. My mom plays the viola. My sister plays the viola. So I actually never really understand viola jokes, I have to say. I kind of always resonate with the violists. So viola power for those out there, and cello power, of course. But, I think my first introduction to cello essentially was also through my aunt, who is a cellist, professional cellist, and I actually play on her instruments and her bows now. And so she, first kind of introduced me to just what a cello is. And I played the violin when I first started, when I was like 1 or 2 years old. I was my sister's little, test project based on what she was seeing with my mom and how my mom was teaching her students. And Stephanie did a great job teaching me. I just, it was hard for me to like kind of hold it. And I just maybe I wasn't the most efficient practicer. I started learning how to play it backwards. And, I would try to mimic what the teacher was doing, but it always, as I would mimic, it would go to the wrong string, the wrong note. And I was like, this is so complicated. So at the age of 5, I decided to switch to cello. And there was a better fit to sit on the ground. Actually, it was easier because I took my mom's viola and I would sit on the floor with her viola, and it's the same strings as a cello, just octave higher. And I would start to play around like that and mimic my aunt. And then I just, really wanted to kind of get into that. I wanted to upgrade to double bass. I shouldn't say upgrade, but at that time when I was little, I thought like, the biggest instrument would be so cool. But then I, really just took the cello and got to meet amazing people. And actually, shout out to Ken Kubota, who just won Concert Artist Guild with Empire Wild. But Ken and I actually started around the same time with the same teacher when I was like 5 or 6 years old. And so it's been fun to kind of see these people grow up with them. And so that's kind of how I got started with cello.
Yeah, it's funny how, like, everybody has so many crazy stories when they started their instruments.
I mean, 1 year old having a string instrument. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Well, I'm watching my nephew right now, Felix. He's incredible. It's amazing to watch. He's so like quickly into the music. Playing on his cardboard box violin and then like trying to mimic this person called Rashad Eggleston, who's the cello goblin, playing cello standing up. It's and he's only like 2, and so it's amazing to see how you start to really, once you're around it, gravitate towards it. And I also remember like I got into composition a lot too when I was like 11 or 12. But earlier on, I put a different sticker on every note on the piano, and I tried to categorize and say like, oh, I'm gonna play this little tune, and it'll be like the raspberry sticker then goes to like the elephant sticker, and then some
yeah. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I totally did the same thing.
That's fun, right? So I probably.
I'm the odd one out. I did not do that.
No, it's great. It's great. Anyway, yeah.
Oh, I only wish there was like a baby bassoon. I mean, they had those, but like I wish I could have started.
Yeah.
Probably like inflatable bassoons at Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I guess on a little bit of a different note, so what inspired you to create the Kuroga Arts Collective, and kind of where was this idea born, and how have you helped it grow, and is it like almost the 10th year that it's been going on right now?
Yeah.
That's a really huge deal, and it's a really exciting project. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you guys can, come by to it at some point. But yeah, it's been really fun. It's been an amazing ride putting that project together. Kind of the genesis of the idea actually is in 2 parts. The music festival itself was kind of just a way to bring friends to where my grandmother has a lake house in Kroger Lake, New York, and to put on free concerts for the community. My sister and I realized that there wasn't a lot of events, especially accessible events, to bring world-class arts into that community. And we were kind of informally doing it. We were going to, attending Bowdoin Festival and different things when we were younger. And our friends we'd take a little road trip and stay at the lake for the weekend. And so we had that kind of going for us, but then we wanted to do it more like get our own festival going. And so I was 19, and many of my friends were also around the same age, and it was very informal. We just called up the local chapel and said like, hey, we want to do this, and they were nice enough to give us a chance. And I think everyone was really astounded by the whole feeling of it and the essence of it. And this is a place that I've spent every summer, winter growing up. So although everyone in the community has a strong identity with the area, many of us don't know each other because we're just kind of there staying on our lake, on our dock, and don't really socialize. So what was amazing that came out from that, even in the first couple of years, is just the community meet and people meeting across lakes and across regions, and people realizing they're cousins. They didn't even know they were family members, and be like, oh wow, we're cousins. And they would meet and like learn this at our concerts. It was crazy to see this like community come together after so many years, decades of not really much cultural opportunities to do that. So there was that avenue to it. And then when I was younger, I kind of always imagined creating the idea of creating culture and creating I would take little blocks when I was a kid, and I would set up little cities and like create storylines, as many of us do. Mm-hmm. And the idea of like being able to do something where you can really provide a platform for your friends to share their amazing talents with these people who really want to hear that and want to be a part of that, I think is one thing. And then also to learn that artists collaborating with other artists is like the most magic recipe one can find, even if they're very vastly different. I think also made it exciting, and that's kind of what led to the Arts Collective concept, which was we're going to take this idea of bringing artists together. We're going to put it in a community that doesn't get that opportunity. Fulton County in New York, where Kroger Lake is the most depressed county in New York State, and so we're bringing in this new thing, and we're going to help revitalize local culture, business, and life through the arts and through creating an attraction, bringing in foot traffic. And so it's been fun to see, all these developments and how it's really transformed the area, and it's continuing to, take its own life, for kind of how it can grow and seeing what the trajectory can be for it.
Yeah. Did you ever like imagine where it would be today, like the very first year you were doing it? I guess what were your thoughts about like I need to get all these artists together? It's like I feel like my brain would explode thinking about all of the things that have to come together.
And I mean, like with our theme of imagining new realities, I feel like that's also kind of in a way like you're bringing this new reality to this place. And just I mean, a lot of people don't really dream to be the one to like, okay, I'm going to create my own festival. Like how did you like really follow through with this idea?
Yeah. Well, I think, I was fortunate to have like a very supportive family that is willing to, sacrifice some summer weeks to like open up our house and to experiment with something. But once it happened, then like our family got so much bigger in the sense that all of our friends, we start to call Kroger Lake home in the summers, and we start to feel like it's just one giant family. And then it's fun to see like your best friend from one circle and a best friend from another circle meet, and then they become best friends. And then they start hanging out way more than they hang out with. But I love, because when I'm there, they always know I'm just like working. I'm just like, you guys have fun. So that's like, it's such a treat though, to be able to connect people. I think when it comes to imagining new realities, I think that's something that can be found in cello playing and in any sense of life is, having this idea. And then it's really just taking the guts to, and frankly, being okay with like not perfecting something immediately. Mm-hmm. I can for sure tell you we are far from perfection in every way. And I'm sure many of my friends think that. But to be able to just experiment is so important. The same way like a kid can play around in a sandbox, and they're not being told like the right way to play in a sandbox or the wrong way. Like just being able to play and experiment, I think allows you to find something that's really organic and true to yourself. And so I think that's been a really key recipe for us. I think Kroger experience is extremely different from anything I've been a part of. But that's only because, that's the people who have contributed to it and made it, this really interesting thing. So I think conceiving an idea, having an idea in your head, and then being able to say like, you know what, I don't need to do this all on my own. Actually, I know like 10 other friends that could be amazing to bring into this idea. Let me call them. Let me see how they respond to this? And then from there, putting it into reality and seeing how it can shape and make a benefit in people's lives.
Yeah, and I feel like preserving kind of the youthful joy for what we do is really important. And I feel like, I mean, we haven't been to Cargo, but like the cultivating that community and kind of having that energy is so powerful, because I feel like in the music world sometimes we get bogged down in like the everyday grind and kind of forget why we do what we've been doing. Or like, you've been holding this instrument since you were 1 year old and you don't know what you're doing anymore, but it's really magical that you're preserving that. So
yeah, I mean, I have to say, there's nothing more re-energizing than playing for an audience that's really a part of the experience.
Yeah.
And is, one of my quartet members who you'll see, later on in the show, but Aaron likes to talk about that amazing feeling when you can feel the audience in the palm of your hand, when you're playing like as a performer. That ability to be up close and intimate for the audience member is so valuable, because that just brings a whole new light to the experience of being at a concert. And then, doing what we're doing now, like being able to talk to them and introduce pieces and to explain a little bit about the artist creates a personal connection that I think is really valuable. I think for various reasons that I can't stress enough the importance of like the empathetic connection between people, and how that I think amplifies, any project that an artist wants to get into.
And I forget if this was from one of our many, I mean, it's not many, but like we've had a couple Zoom chats over the pandemic, and no, but you're talking about like how concerts should feel like people are just hanging out in a living room. Like the music should just really come alive and like not be this audience concert.
Yeah.
There we go,
Yeah. So, well, I feel like that's also, I mean, with this virtual thing, it's so hard because it's, I mean, this is like part of what we are really trying to do with especially like what we're doing now, like including these sort of interview kind of casual things between pieces. I feel like it's so helpful and enjoyable for audience members, because it feels, it's like human connection again. I miss so much. So
actually, I had this, and sorry, I know we're just like jumping.
Oh no, it's fine.
No, we're cool.
But I think, I remember it was maybe like Madeline Island years ago. I was playing with a quartet, and we kind of had this revelation about like why chamber music is also really exciting and really special in the sense of the moments you share with the audience and with each other. And I started thinking, also a lot of that repertoire is that the composers are sharing something very intimate and special that they might not always showcase in a symphony. They might, but they might not. And so, what was really cool though, I started thinking about, I was like, why are talk shows so popular? Like, why do people sit down, watch TV, and watch other people talk to other people? That has nothing to do with their lives at all. But I started thinking that I think what's magical about that, and what makes people draw them in about that, is the fact that generally in those talk shows, someone is sharing something very genuine and special to them. It's like a moment that you're a part of, and the host does a great job of being like, kind of asking the person they're interviewing about like stuff that we as listeners might feel like, wow, they're really opening up to us. They're being really vulnerable. And that makes you feel a part of the moment. That gives you like a sense of like connection, that I was a part of this, or like I saw that when it happened, even if you saw it on TV. And that sense of vulnerability and spontaneity, I think, is what like chamber music is really exciting. That sense of conversation and that sense of digging in deep to yourself and like sharing that. And the nice thing when you're playing music is other than when we're singing, sometimes we're using a text that's been written, but you can still draw your own personal emotions and put that on the table, and people don't really know, but just you doing that draws them in a certain way.
Yeah, that's so true about like, because I just can think of when I've been to orchestra concerts versus chamber music concerts. It's like, it's just this different vibe when you have like, I don't know, like 2 or like 4 people on the stage. It's like you can see who they are more.
Yeah.
And I mean, wind players, I feel like, are always pretty exposed. But in chamber music, when it's just one per part,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like, I mean, that's the vulnerability I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you're talking about. And it's just like, I mean, like, it's really funny to go from like playing in a chamber music festival for an entire summer and then going to sit back in orchestra, because then it's like, whoa, like, okay, I have like a little nice little cushion.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I can hide back. No, I'm, but
Yeah.
No, that's totally true. I would say that like I think what also is really exciting, what draws people to orchestras, even like some youth orchestras, is like the even like Gustavo Dudamel, El Sistema, this whole thing, is like the energy. Like all of them are playing like chamber musicians, or like like they enjoy that sense of like, wow, we can like take the chamber music power and like maximize it tenfold while still being able to like work with a conductor. And obviously the conductor has to have that sense of energy and welcome that sense of collaboration and communication amongst the group. But there is, depending on the situation, can be some magical things you can learn from orchestra going to chamber music and chamber music going to orchestra. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's a great point though. It is nice sometimes to have a pillow, but it's also nice to be out in the open
everyone,
and really kind
yeah.
of embrace each other. Yeah.
this like leads right into our next question, which is if you could talk a little bit about your chamber music experience with Casa and Cavani. So I guess if you could just talk a little bit about that experience and what you're doing now with them. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, so I'm in Cleveland right now, actually. And I'm rehearsing with Cavani Quartet. Cavani is such a special group. They were actually my mentors since I was a little kid, and I feel so lucky. It's kind of unreal to feel like I'm now stepping into the shoes of my former teacher, Mary Peckham, and playing in the quartet. It's a huge privilege. Very grateful for it, for the opportunity. But yeah, they have such a long history of being an amazing educators and incredible performers, and I just have so many magical memories of listening to them play, pieces, Dvorak American, Ravel Quartet, Debussy Quartet. I could go on and on. So, we're prepping for a Beethoven cycle that we're going to be doing in fall 21, and it's going to be really awesome. It also incorporates some new premieres of some works, and so it kind of has a nice balance between both the classics and the kind of the newer pieces that people really should be knowing at this point by composers like Caroline Shaw and Jesse Montgomery and some really fantastic individuals and more. So we've been working on that, and then Casa, we were supposed to do so much in the spring with different trips, but obviously with COVID it got canceled, and all of us live separately, and so it has a totally different vibe. I'd say Cavani, we do a lot of the kind of I don't want to call it standard, but somewhat standard works with like Mendelssohn, Dvorak, and Beethoven, in addition to these like new premieres. In Casa, we do a lot of our own like original arrangements. We do a lot of kind of classical crossover, I guess we'd call it. And so that's been so much fun with that. And actually was started out of Kroger Lake Music Festival. They had all met there. It's my sister, my friend Andy, and Aaron. And so they just really enjoyed playing together, and so we decided, let's play in a quartet, and so we did competition, and we did we're successful at that with in Texas, and then Andy got a job with the Seattle Symphony, and all of us I ended up going to Cavani, and Stephanie and Aaron are doing amazing things in Columbus. So it's been so fun, and we do have some projects on the horizon. We've been talking to different people about putting a kind of a classical crossover album together, and but it's in the works, and it'll take some time to organize. And we love. I'm personally a huge fan of Jacob Collier, so I've been we've been kind of taking turns doing Jacob Collier arrangements, which I think you'll see one of them
later.
So anyway, yeah, it's really fun to balance those two sides, and I think that's been credited to like growing up in kind of a chamber music world. I didn't do youth orchestra. This program that my mom runs, Chamber Music Connection, that now Stephanie is deeply involved in, and Aaron as well. And so that kind of gave me a whole new, life, and that was really what I wanted to focus on. So, yeah.
So I have two questions kind of after that wonderful talk about chamber music experience. First, I guess our last episode 6, if you haven't had the chance to watch it, was about kind of the orchestral audition path. And so we were wondering if, Kyle, you could talk a little bit about like what the, I guess, audition process is like. I mean, I do not know kind of exactly how that works for chamber music and how someone finds if they're a right fit for a group. I feel like that would actually be could you just talk a little bit about the process for that and how you got to become the cellist of the Cavani Quartet? Yeah,
so I mean, obviously there's a few routes when it comes to chamber music. I'd say actually there's probably infinite number of routes. There's everyone does it a little differently. Just using my two examples, essentially with Casa, you have the version where you meet people over the years in summer camps and summer festivals and other areas, school, conservatory, and you just gravitate towards certain people and you want to collaborate with them. And then, that's one, route that I see a lot. And sometimes, that involves doing competitions. Other times it means, recording stuff or whatever you want to do, so that's kind of one route I see often. I'd say also I did a lot of chamber music festivals growing up. As I just mentioned, my mom's program, but even in the summer, I did a ton of chamber music programs, and it was really fun, and met a lot of people through that, and got to play with a lot of people, and staying connected with individuals really helped. But yeah, so that was with Casa, and then Cavani, obviously getting to know the quartet since I was, born pretty much with my mom's program, and them being really close friends with her.
Yeah.
They've always been great mentors, and so when there was an opening, I reached out about, hey, I really admire you all, and I just would love an opportunity to play a concert with you if you'd like, and so we arranged a concert. They invited me to come to play a concert. It's kind of like a trial concert essentially.
Yeah.
We do rehearsals, and it was so much fun. I mean, it was great to be with everyone, and it just went really well. And then so then after that, they invited me to join the quartet, and so yeah, I don't know with chamber music if it's as I think there are some quartets that are very thorough and how they now we're posting about an opening, but
Yeah.
it's just kind of they have a list that they kind of know, and of people they really enjoy spending time with, and they want to try playing together.
Piece on the program is a virtual premiere. It's a piece written by our friend and colleague at the Yale School of Music, Harry Castle. He wrote this piece called Banshee for the Marea duo.
Yeah.
And we've had so much fun rehearsing this, recording it, and putting it together with Harry this week. He wrote this piece for this ensemble specifically and incorporated a lot of electronics and looping pedals to create this sort of atmospheric effect in the whole piece. And Harry has a video where he will tell you a little bit about the piece. But while we were recording it, it was super fun and a really new experience trying these kind of new techniques on both of our instruments and with our voices. It was a different style of singing that we've done as a duo.
Yeah. It's also, I remember when Amelia and I both got off our first Zoom call with Harry, and we immediately felt this great energy when he described the idea of the piece Banshee. And it's just really incredible to watch how these collaborations grow. This was back in June, and we've been thinking about this date for so long. And when we've kind of been in this pandemic, it feels like forever. It's really beautiful to watch these collaborations unfold right before your eyes. And as Amelia was speaking about trying all these different techniques, we've really found this as an opportunity to get outside of our comfort zones and try new things, and be also incredibly vulnerable in the sense where I don't know if this is going to work, or I've never done anything like this, and this is the first time that I've performed a piece with electronics and multiphonics, and it was a really wonderful experience. And we're so grateful for Harry, and we really hope that you enjoy this piece, Banshee.
Yeah, so here's a video from Harry talking about his inspiration for writing the piece.
Right, so we are here with the composer, Harry Castle, and we just finished our recording session of Banshee. And so we're just going to ask a couple of questions. First, what was your inspiration behind writing this piece?
When I had the opportunity to write for a couple performers that play and also sing, I thought that it would be a really fun thing to try and kind of layer those voices as much as possible to create a new soundscape. And when I was thinking about what kind of pieces would fit into that kind of idea, I remembered that there is a Scots-Irish legend of the Banshee, which is a woman spirit that comes and sings when someone's died. And I remembered this folk tune called Macrimmon's Lament, which was written by a piper, lamenting the loss of McCrimmon, who was actually a piper himself to one of the kings, and he was lost at the Battle of Culloden. And it's such a haunting melody that I thought it would be a great thing to kind of rework it into a new piece. So I guess this is kind of half parts an arrangement and also a brand new piece of music. So yeah, that was kind of my inspiration behind this piece.
Thanks so much. We really enjoyed putting it together.
Yeah.
It's been so much fun working on it.
Yeah.
And having all the technology, I mean, I'm running all the loops, so we're doing a lot of looping of voices, using microphones, and I'm running it all through Ableton. And I have this little controller here, which you won't see me in any of the videos of it, but
Behind the scenes.
I'm here pressing all the buttons to make sure the loops start and stop at the right times, and we used some vocal and instrumental processing. I was a bit worried about the technology all going up in flames, but we managed to make it work. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy listening to the piece, or have just enjoyed listening to the piece.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The
So being in these two string quartets and then also running this music festival, how do you balance this? Because I'm sure it's crazy in all three worlds.
Yes. It's a great question. It's something that I'm always learning every day, how to try to better myself to balance, these things. And I'd say, luckily, I have amazing people around me to help me balance all these things. And I don't even say like help me is weird. Like they have such like individual ownership over the project themselves too. Like for instance, Hina, my fiance, does so much for Kuroga Arts, along with Tori, our new general manager, and my whole board of directors, advisory council, volunteers. My family who's involved with that. My grandma is like writing thank you letters and stuff. It's like a huge operation. Mm-hmm. So it is balancing. It's really about bettering myself with communication, which can be applied in any facet of life, and being able to coordinate a bigger team. I think that's one thing I've had to learn is like you can't do it all yourself, nor do I want to. But to be able to continue to work on instructing people and paint a picture for everyone to contribute towards, mm-hmm. I think is a great skill. And so I'm working on that, and that takes a lot of time. We're working on trying to build a new amphitheater on this amusement park that was donated to us. It's like a lakeside old amusement park, and also donated this acreage pretty close by and building residencies there. So there's big projects that they didn't teach me at music conservatory, with like how to write requests for proposals and this kind of thing. And so luckily, I've been able to work with people who know how to do that stuff, and still it demands a lot of new skills from us. And I'd say that, along with quartet, I think being able to play this music with Cavani and try to really, when I'm with them or when I'm studying it by myself at home, to really engage myself in that mindset and to let go of what else is going on, or do your best to let go.
Yeah.
And that's a continual learning process too. And same with Casa, when you go there, like to really devote your time to like whatever's in front of you, and to let the other things go, and then continue to then integrate and like organize yourself. Like organization's a hard thing for me. I need to get better at it. Hina is like that organization.
Yeah.
So I have massive respect for like people who are super organized. You all seem amazingly organized. So I'm working on that. But I think that's, a big key to like balancing your mind and your energy different places.
Wait, how do you get yourself kind of in the mindset to be practicing and have and let go of all the things that we've kind of asked this on a couple of the episodes, but I feel like everyone can use a tip on that during this time when we all have a lot going on in our heads, when we need to be practicing. I mean, like something that I've been doing, and this was pre-pandemic, but like doing like a lie down on the floor for 5 minutes, because then I feel like I really just forget everything and I'm ready to just practice the music and like be in like a very relaxed and focused state.
Right.
But like, what do you do to?
Yeah. I was fortunate to study at Wisconsin, where Eleni mentioned at the beginning. We both went to go Badgers. Yeah. Where we both went to school. Badgers for life. There you go. It's hard growing up in Columbus. I had a little anyway, but so yeah, I think I had the fortunate opportunity to study with Uri Vardy and Hagit Vardy, who are amazing Feldenkrais practitioners, and Uri's an incredible cellist, and I think I learned so much about from him about how to balance those things, because really with the music festival and Casa and everything, I've been balancing that since like middle of undergrad, and now with masters, or putting myself back in those shoes. I think there's a lot of Feldenkrais techniques that like allowed me to kind of figure out how to center myself. And I think also knowing that you don't need to control the moment outside of the one you're in. And even then, like when it comes down to it, like even if a moment feels not great, generally that sense of like residue that it wasn't great is about something that just happened, or you have like concerns about what is about to happen, but really is the moment you're in like actually full of that, of this kind of like, I don't know. So I think just like centering yourself in the moment, and whether that's lying on the floor or taking a deep breath, or being able to just like, I remember in undergrad we used to close our eyes and then put our eyes to like top of our look up essentially, and then like try to relax our body, or like different techniques. It's something that you do before performance, can work even before rehearsal or before you want to practice. But I mean, everyone has amazing techniques. I'm sure you guys have so many.
When you were talking about looking at something, or like looking at a particular point, it just like made me like flash back to actually being able to play like an orchestra concert. I always look at the exit signs like before the concert starts, and just like get ready. But yeah, that's the
That's the
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so, I mean, just talking about balancing all this stuff, it's like, I feel like, I mean, I probably said this before too, and it's, people are like, I just wish there was like a class or something that could teach you all this, but I feel like even if there was a class, you wouldn't learn anything unless you just do it. Like, you have to learn from just doing it, or I feel like that's there's so many things like that too. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, the like experience is huge, and you learn so much that you can
Yeah.
create in the classroom. I mean, that might be something to be said though about the way education works and making it more experiential.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. our last question for Kyle is, what was one of the biggest lessons that you learned from your time at UW-Madison? Because that was the special place that we shared for 4 years. And I feel like we both grew a ton over our time there. So, yeah, I'm excited to hear it.
The biggest things I'd say I learned at UW, and that's actually when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, man, there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack. We had
I think
this is a long time.
It is, and I think that the mentorship of my primary instructor Uri, along with even like my doctoral committee, different professors there, was a huge learning process. I mean, I think I picked up so much about how to essentially talk about balance. When you're doing like doctoral work, it's a lot of balancing and trying to put your best foot forward in multiple facets of what you do, and to really have an understanding of why you're doing what you're doing. I think was an important thing that I learned, and that I'm trying, looking to carry with me is, sometimes I think earlier on we're like, oh, we're just doing this thing, it's fun. But then to have a sense of why, and then the purpose behind, like the intent and the purpose of how you can apply that in the real world, I think is something that I, started to learn in Wisconsin. I also think one of the things that for me personally was a challenge was I was a fellow student and a TA at Wisconsin, and at CIM, at Cleveland Student Music, I was just kind of like, another like the freshman pulling pranks. I was a totally different situation, and so to go from someone who's just kind of like has my little community and I'm doing my thing, I'm in undergrad, and being kind of small fish in a big pond, even though the school is very small, to go to Wisconsin and to be have that sense of responsibility as a fellow and a TA, and to learn how to like go to a concert and people are like waiting to be like, wow, like I don't mean this in a weird way, but just like this group is like, they're all Collins fellows, or they're all like Hunt Quartet members, and they're all part of the grad quartet, and to have that sense of like, wow, like people really from the community even are coming in and they value like listening to you. It was a different experience, and I think it took me some time to embrace that. And then but I think that was kind of already within me, that sense of embracing it, but it was just a different role to play. But also learning how to do that, I think, equipped me really well for professional life outside of that, in addition to meeting all of the amazing individuals that were constantly yourself and Glenn Dorn, and of course my fiance Hina, who yeah. So anyway, many fond memories.
Awesome. Well, that I think concludes our oh yeah. Get a couple. Wait, I have to do this. No, we got to do this. Oh wait, darn it, it doesn't work. I'm trying to put my we got the applause. Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Put your hand in there. But yeah, so that concludes our interview today with Kyle, or tonight, I guess. And one of the things, like the common threads throughout this interview, and I mean with the whole thing of imagining new realities, I feel like it's just really being in the moment. And I feel like that is something that I'm going to take with me through this week and kind of have that as my intention. And so that was just really insightful and great to hear you talk about. So, yeah.
That with you both about all those topics. Thanks for inviting me, and I hope everyone enjoys the music as well.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for answering all our questions. It's been so much fun.
Yeah.
As well. So
I know. I hope to see you in real life. I mean, actually, wait, we saw each other right before this. I saw you and Hina in Chicago, like right before this all started.
I saw my friend Jeff. Shout out to Jeff Bears. Bluegrass there, incredible. Sarah Hall, who's like, talk about being like making it big, and during COVID, she's like virtually everywhere right now. She's doing amazing, Sarah Hall. So, that was a good time.
Yeah, another life.
Yeah.
Seriously.
We'll get back to it.
I know we're like forced to imagine this new reality.
Yeah.
That we've been in.
I guess as Julian always says, one of my good friends, he's like, dream the life to live the dream. So whatever it is that you want to do, about it and then do it.
We gotta let's flash that on the screen right now. We will. The big quote.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. The last piece on the program tonight is Fly Me to the Moon, written by Bart Howard and made famous by Frank Sinatra and Count Basie. And I have only had fond memories with this piece. It really just takes me back to playing in a recital hall again with my bassoon colleagues for the annual Bassoon-a-Rama concert, and which we are going to be doing virtually this year, don't you worry. But that just, this piece really, really, really takes me back to that time, and it makes me feel like I'm playing with other bassoons and colleagues. And I actually sent Kyle this video. I was just dancing on stage. I was having a ball. So we're so excited tonight to have actually a new arrangement of this written by Aaron Schwartz, and he is the violinist of the Casa String Quartet. And I met Aaron very briefly at a Casa house concert, but we barely know each other, and it's been so great to have him write for us and for us to have this collaboration and bring people together over this extremely difficult time. This week, I don't know about everyone, but this week it felt like, are we getting out of this? When are we going to get out of this pandemic?
Yeah. And then sort of this new reality that we've been forced to imagine has almost made it seem like we are no longer on this earth. We have flown to the moon.
No gravity. But just floating. But yeah, on that note though too, I feel like being able to speak with Kyle this week has really grounded both of us, and it's been great to reconnect with an old friend and a great friend and make this music come alive. So
hope you enjoy.
must be true. In other words, I love you. In other words, I love you. In other words, I love you.
Thank you so much. This concludes our episode 7 of Marea and Friends. So thank you so much to Kyle, to Aaron and Casa Quartet. It's been so much fun. And to Harry Castle for writing this beautiful piece for us. And also to Russell Fisher for letting us use his equipment this week for recording of Banshee.
Yeah, I feel like we should be on the Jimmy Fallon show, like cueing the dramatic music and writing our little thank you notes.
I know. But we really have so many people. I feel like this week especially.
There were so many moving parts and so many artistic energy channels flowing together to make this happen, and it feels great to be able to share this with people and for us all to be discovering new realities together. And I could not be more grateful for this series and to be able to share music with people on a weekly basis.
So tune in next week. We will have violinist Caitlin Edwards with us, and it's going to be another wonderful episode.
Yeah, and Caitlin was my roommate at NRO, which is the National Repertory Orchestra in Breckenridge, Colorado.
And 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2
years ago. And so we will have a lot of fun stories to share from that. And she is a phenomenal violinist.
Yeah.
Just really great. So you do not want to miss it.
Don't miss it.
Don't miss it.
So see you next week. Same time, same place, unless we get responses on the survey.
That tells us otherwise.
I know.
What are you thinking? Let us know.
And don't forget to purchase your $5 virtual ticket for tonight if you enjoyed the show. We look forward to bringing you more content, performances, and wonderful conversations.
Yes.